In the village of Barim, two young boys, Jaro and Tano, grew up together. They did everything as a pair, playing, learning and dreaming. But as they got older, their differences became more noticeable. Jaro was strong and quick, excelling at sports and outdoor work. He could climb trees like a monkey and carry heavy loads with ease. Tano, on the other hand, was not as strong, but he was sharp-minded. He could solve puzzles in seconds and tell stories that kept the entire village entertained. At first, they never thought much about the differences, but as time passed, Jaro began to notice how people admired Tano's cleverness. "He's so smart," they would say. "He'll do great things one day." At the same time, Tano heard the villagers praising Jaro's strength. "He's a real warrior," they said. "He'll protect us when danger comes." The words that should have been encouraging became a burden. Jaro wished he were as intelligent as Tano, and Tano wished he were as strong as Jaro. One evening, Jaro sat under a mango tree, deep in thought. "No matter how hard I try, I can never be as smart as Tano," he murmured. "Maybe I'm just not meant to be special." At the same time, Tano sat in his hut staring at his thin arms. "Jaro is strong, brave and admired. I wish I were like him." Each day these thoughts grew stronger. Jaro stopped practicing his running and climbing, feeling that it wasn't important. Tano stopped telling stories, believing that being strong mattered more. Seeing their change in behavior, an elderly villager named Mzibako decided to step in. He was known for his wisdom and had watched the boys grow up. One afternoon he called them both to his hut. "You two have always been like brothers," he said. "But lately, you seem troubled. What is in your hearts?" The boys hesitated. Then Jaro spoke. "I wish I was smart like Tano. People admire his intelligence and I feel useless." Tano sighed. "And I wish I was strong like Jaro. What's the use of my mind if I can't even carry a basket of yams?" Mzibako nodded thoughtfully. "Then I have a challenge for you both. Tomorrow at sunrise, meet me at the village gate. I have a task that will show you something important." The next morning, Jaro and Tano arrived at the village gate. Mzibako handed them a scroll with a map. "This is a map of Barim's surroundings," he said. "There are 2 tasks marked, one for Jaro and one for Tano. You must complete them alone." Jaro's task was to collect a rare herb from the top of a rocky hill. Tano's task was to solve an old puzzle in an abandoned temple deep in the forest. Jaro looked at Tano and frowned. "You're not strong enough to travel that far." "And you're not patient enough to solve a puzzle," Tano replied. Mzibako chuckled. "That is exactly why I had chosen these tasks. Now go." Jaro ran towards the hill, confident in his strength, but as he climbed the rocky path, he found it harder than expected. The rocks were sharp and the wind was strong. His muscles ached, but he pushed forward. At the top, he found the herb growing in a small crack, but as he reached for it, he hesitated. What if this is the wrong plant? I should have asked Tano. He would have known. For the first time, Jaro realized that strength alone wasn't enough. He needed knowledge too. Tano entered the temple and found the puzzle, a large stone door with strange carvings. He examined them carefully, trying to find a pattern, but the answer wasn't clear. Hours passed, and frustration grew. If only Jaro were here, he thought, he would push this door open with his strength. Then he remembered something Mzibako once told them. Every problem has a solution. You just need to find the right way to approach it. Taking a deep breath, Tano noticed a small lever hidden in the carvings. He pulled it and the door opened. He laughed. I didn't need strength, I just needed to believe in my own abilities. The boys returned to the village, exhausted but changed. They told Masibako about their experiences. Now do you understand? The old man asked. Jaro nodded. I wished to be like Tano, but I see now that my strength has value. I climbed that hill when others couldn't. Tano smiled. And I wish to be like Jaro, but I see that my mind is my greatest strength. Masibako placed a hand on their shoulders. Comparing yourself to others blinds you to your own gifts. You were made to be you. If you had been born as each other, who would have climbed the hill? Who would have opened the temple? Jaro and Tano looked at each other and laughed. They finally understood. From that day on, Jaro embraced his strength, but he also learned from Tano. Tano embraced his intelligence, but also worked on his endurance. They stopped comparing and started appreciating their own unique talents. A month later, the village prepared for its grand annual event, the Festival of Gifts. Every villager had to contribute something that showed their talent. Jaro built a strong wooden shelter for travelers passing through the village. Tano created a book of stories and riddles for the village children. When the festival ended, the village leader stood before the crowd and said, "Every gift given today is a piece of what makes Barim strong. Let us celebrate each talent, for without one, the village would not be whole." Jaro and Tano exchanged a look, knowing that they had both found their place. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Jaro and Tano continued their separate paths, but this time they no longer compared themselves to each other. Jaro trained younger villagers in physical endurance. Tano became a mentor to children, sharing knowledge that would guide them in life. One day as they sat by the river, Jaro chuckled. "Do you remember when we used to compare ourselves all the time?" Tano smiled. "Yes, we wasted so much energy wishing to be someone else." Jaro nodded. "Now, I wouldn't trade my strength for anything." "Neither would I trade my mind," Tano agreed. Masibako's lesson had taken root, and from that day forward, they lived with confidence, knowing that they were enough just as they were. The story of Jaro and Tano became a lesson for generations. Parents told their children, "Do not compare yourself to others. You have your own gifts, your own strengths. The world needs you, not a copy of someone else." And so the village of Barim thrived, with each person embracing their unique talents, knowing that every tree in the forest had a purpose, and so did they. Moral of the story: the sun and the moon shine in different ways, but both are important, so why compare?